Hey guys, welcome. It's Coach Michael Merlino.
Dr. JD Hasenbank.
I'm located in Houston, Texas. I'm a running coach. I'm a fitness trainer here in Houston. Not going to go into too much detail on what our history is, but what we do, and more importantly, how can we help you guys? So
Yeah,
this is a brand new show. We're flying by the seat of our pants, right, JD?
Woo, yes.
But like Bruce Springsteen once said, you can't start a fire without a spark. So here we go. Okay. So I'm based out of Houston, Texas. I've been a running coach and a fitness trainer for over 23 years. I have my own group called In-Flight Running in Houston. And I coach both one-on-one and a group of about 150 people normally have in a training season. So it's a run coaching program that offers long distance, long run support on Saturdays. We do interval training with track and hills, all that to get people normally ready for, the end game with most runners, which is a race. Okay. So I'll throw it over to you, JD, and kind of talk about what you do. And then we'll kind of talk about why in the heck are we here today?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Hasenbank, Nashville, Tennessee. I've been in practice for about 20 years, primarily in the mobility side of things, but I always get questions all the time on, hey, how do I hack my stress? How do I help with my anxiety, my depression, different things, my digestion? I do have training in functional medicine, so I pull from that background. But these days, it's really come to the forefront. Everybody has a lot of questions and really want to know how to not only survive during this time, but also come out of it thriving.
Yeah, and JD, real quick before I get going, I want to make sure there's no reverb here. So I'm going to go to my headset while I'm talking, okay? Because I can hear you, and I don't have you on headset. So let me do that quick, guys. Change my audio settings. So real quick, and I hope we don't have too much feedback as I'm adjusting this. So so I met JD a while back. I ended up in his clinic. I can't remember what it was. It was probably some foot issue, if I'm remembering correctly. So I met him many years ago, like him and some other local docs. Let me change this to, okay. I think I'm okay. He put me back together and got going, and I just liked his style with how he managed things. Very thoughtful about his process on mobility and just practical ways to get back on my feet running quickly, which is what most of us want as runners, or anybody for that matter. Who wants to sit? Well, some people want to sit on the couch, but a lot of that going on right now. But anyway, so we just kind of jived, and then this dude moves to Nashville, Tennessee, and I stay in Houston, and then it took a pandemic to get us back together. So, JD, maybe you just kind of hit on like, why are we here today? Why are we doing the show? What's the purpose? How can it help people? I'm going to throw the ball over to you on that one.
Absolutely. So it really came out of the conversations you and I were having a week or two ago. Michael and I were doing a Zoom and connecting with each other on what's going on and how we're doing. And we decided we need some accountability to actually push forward on some projects that we really wanted to work on. It's been on my heart and it's been on your heart to be able to offer our teaching content online. We do a lot of teaching in front of people, both coach and myself, and it's been great and we get amazing feedback, but people soon forget or they want to pass information on to somebody else and it's just not available. So we really have wanted to be able to throw information out there, have it online, whether or not it's on social media or it's on a e-learning type of style platform. But that's what's kind of got us to this point. We said, why don't we just go ahead and record our dialogues back and forth? Because every time we talk, every time we chat, we're like, that's content.
It's a breakout.
Like, people need to know about this. So we decided, let's just go ahead and have a live show once a week, and we'll just start hitting hot topics, talking back and forth with one another. And you guys can listen, ask questions. It'll be there after the fact to be able to keep asking more questions or reach out to us if you need any help with it. But that's what we're going to roll with.
Yeah, and guys, we don't even know what we're going to name this, but this will become its own separate entity, its own show. It'll have its own Facebook page and own YouTube channel. We're pumping it out on In-Flight Running probably next week, Dr. Hasenbank's. So here's the format, about 30 minutes. We did some intros today, so we may go 35 minutes with a Q&A at the end. Your time's valuable, guys, so we're going to try to stick to our time frame, hit a topic. 1 p.m. Central Time is our target every Wednesday. So every Wednesday you can expect to go live. And if you don't catch it live, no big deal, because we're live on Facebook, eventually our own Facebook page for the show, and YouTube channel for this show. We're rolling them on In-Flight this week. So you can always catch the replay later. That's the beauty of it. YouTube is kind of my new television. If I'm not watching NBA basketball on my Rockets, which ain't happening right now, I'm on YouTube learning stuff. And that's what we want. Really, the big goal here, like JD mentioned, is learning stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wade through a ridiculous amount of YouTube videos to figure out like the real deal stuff that's just really working to be healthier, lose weight, be a better runner and athlete. Okay. So today I want to remind you, if you have questions anytime during this broadcast, I'm watching the feed on Facebook and YouTube. So you have a question, pop it in there. Or if you want to come on live with us right now, we can pop your head right in here. Send me an email at inflightrunning@gmail.com. I'm manning the email, and then I'll shoot you back a link where you can actually join us during Q&A. So we'll probably run to about 1:30, 1:35-ish, and then we'll go into Q&A, and we'll hang around as long as you guys have questions on anything. So with that, I want to talk about kind of what's in the news and first, and we're going to roll it over to JD, and we're really going to talk about stress and how that affects your immune system and things like that, because obviously that's what's on everyone's minds right now. That being said, since it is on everyone's minds, and I don't know about you guys, there's only so many press conferences that I can watch every day. Everything is Corona this, Corona that. Obviously, it's a big deal. This is the biggest deal that's hit the human race probably since 1918 when we had Spanish flu. As you know, I don't want to get into all that, but it is affecting people. Okay, looking at the news lately, because I always watch the feed on what's going on with running in particular, because I'm a running coach and that's my specialty, but I'm also a fitness trainer, so I train people to stay in shape. Is looking at like Garmin data and Strava and all these different GPS things that show what human beings do. So they can look at this data, and what they're looking at now is they're finding out that actually you would think miles would be up. You would think people would be exercising more when it comes to cycling and running, but they're not. Like total volume is down, but it looks like frequency is up, which is good. So people are getting out the door more often, but they're obviously doing it closer to home, because in a lot of cities and countries, parks have been closed even. So a lot of controversial things on, can you get coronavirus running without a mask? And that's all over the map. But the good news is particularly running and walking and cycling, it's probably the safest thing you can do right now. And a lot of people are shifting to doing strength training at home because they can't go into a gym. Here in Texas, the gyms, we just got a notice from our governor that gyms and hair salons and those businesses like mine, where you're close to people, more fitness training stuff, that's not going to happen probably till mid-May. Okay. So that's going on. So I think it's a give and a take. JD would probably agree with me. There's more time to do it, but then people are homeschooling, kids, and they got other stuff they're doing, and they're Zooming at home, and they're Zoomed out from all these different meetings. And so it's kind of 2 steps forward, 2 back right now. It's like we're all stuck in kind of quicksand. Okay. I can tell you with my group, I just polled my group here in Houston and got some great feedback from people because I want to know where their head was as a coach. JD, like you, I've been all over the map. Like, oh, this is not a big deal. This is, how is this different than the flu? And it's more contagious. And I've been pretty much. It's been a
cycle. It's what happens when there's a death or a loss. I mean, it really is the grieving cycle. It's wow, this doesn't seem real. Stage 1, stage 2. Yeah. Holy crap, this is real. Kind of that disorientation. Don't even know. Kind of stuck, depressed, anxious. don't even really know what to do next. The third stage is you start getting angry. You're like, why is this happening? This is not fair. And then the fourth stage is you start to come into a little bit of acceptance of, well, this is just the way it is. And fifth is we start moving on and moving forward. Now, you can do loop-de-loops through these stages. You know, it can be a roller coaster ride.
I've done plenty, trust me.
But literally, it's the grief cycle. I mean, it's the loss cycle.
Yeah, and it's you know, give you an example. I pulled my group. Now we're you know, running groups are a little bit weird. It's a weird hybrid. We're not a gym. We do everything outside. It's obviously a lot safer to do it outside. We can do distancing. When the long run before we shut down, I'm a clean freak anyway, but you know, wiping down tables where we have our Gatorade jugs with Clorox bleach, and you know, I'm in the truck with my surgeon gloves on, serving Gatorade. Yeah, we had to think about weird things, JD. Like, okay, we got to minimize the thumb touches on the spigot, right? Yeah. So we had to go into a thing where, when you approach, you have one person in your group that's the server, and they have to wipe off the spigot, because if a guy's walking his dog and they hit the spigot, I don't know who that dude is, right?
The things you never think about.
Yeah,
I mean, really, we're having to re-examine our everyday world and learn habits and maybe change habits that we never even thought we really had to even do. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so polling my runners, it's, you know, we're looking at possibly returning maybe late next week, and it's going to be, you know, but you know, here's the deal. Like, you would agree with me, JD, polling my runners, I just threw it out there. I'm like, guys, we got to think about returning. The governor's opened it up. I've got a plan on how we're going to do it where it's safe, but I want to know where your head's at. And it's all over the map. It's some people, I won't see them till next Christmas. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, they're freaked out about this, and everyone's wired different. Like, there's no right or wrong to this, man. Everyone's wired different. Some are in the middle going, man, if you do it safe, you're the leader. I'll trust you. You're the wellness dude. Right. And I'll trust that we can do it. And I've already told them we're going to have rules. There's going to be set rules. And if you don't play by the rules, don't come out. If you're sick, truly, if you think you got anything relative to anything, stay home. Yeah. But and then some are like, I was ready like a month ago. I think all this stuff is a bunch of BS, and I think it's overdone. And, you know, you're hearing that too. Yeah. So with that being said, we've talked enough about Corona. I want to transition into how this fear and how this added stress. I was telling JD the other day, I'm a guy, guys, you could give me a slab of concrete and I could lay down on it and I could fall asleep in about 3 seconds flat. I'm not one of these guys where I get restless. I hit the pillow probably because I'm on my feet like JD is all day with people physically, training people or training myself. But weird, like over the past 2-3 weeks, for no apparent reason, which is, I guess, my subconscious brain talking to me, I'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, wide awake, for absolutely no apparent reason. So obviously these stressors are manifesting themselves, and they always do in different ways with different people. So that being said, I want to pivot this towards the main thing we want to talk about today, which is JD's expert. I want to talk about immune system and the stress and this fear and how that's affecting people in a real way. And it's going to continue to probably do that. So JD, I'm going to throw the ball over to you, man, because you got the primary talk today, and I'll man the station here.
Sounds good. So let me know if there are any questions or anything. Just kind of interrupt me and redirect. But one of the biggest topics I'm being asked about is stress. I mean, people are saying I'm anxious, like I'm eating more, I'm drinking more. And there's two things that you end up doing when you're under stress. You either fight or you flight. Now, there's a couple others out there. You can freeze as well. And that's kind of what a lot of people are doing. They're kind of freezing. They're stuck. They're watching a bunch of movies. They're reading the news. But there's the big things that stress do to the body that we need to consider is that, number one, it depresses the immune system. So Hans Selye coined the term stress in the early 1900s. The biggest thing that he's done through his entire life of research on stress, and even kind of bringing to light the effects of stress, is that they found that it increases your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are there to help you handle stress. So being under stress or chronic stress, as this is being turned into, this is not just a one-day stressor. We're moving into weeks and months of this. And the unknown is even stressful. So it increases your adrenal glands size, meaning they just get bigger. They pump out more stress hormones. We also get a depression of the immune system, literally the white blood cells, the things that we need right now to be able to defend against corona, against flu, against allergies, whatever. That actually goes to the tank like that. The third thing that happens is you start to develop ulcerations in your stomach, intestinal lining, etc. And if those barriers are gone and they're not tight and junction together, they're starting to have holes, stuff gets in through our nasal passages and through our intestines into our bloodstream easier. So really, if we want to really delve deep into stress, the biggest thing that it does is it leaves us more prone to actually getting stuff that, and particularly right now with corona. So I know everybody's wiping things down. I know everybody's kind of avoiding social distancing, wearing masks, not touching faces. Those are all amazing things. In fact, you don't even need to have corona. All you have to have is the flu to go, okay, let's actually execute all of those things. Let's be a little more diligent. I personally am shocked how many times I touch my face. And it has been the biggest awakening for me.
You're shamed in public if you touch your
I'll
face.
I'll literally be in the car shooting a Marco Polo to you, and I'm like, I'm starting to scratch or something's itchy or whatever. I'm like, I can't touch my face. Learning how to actually use the back of my hand versus.
Dude, we can talk here. I'm an Italian guy. I'm used to hugging people and kissing them on the cheek, and I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. So that's just been a big change for me. Also, I've always been a big hand washer, but now I'm just realizing that, golly, there's just a lot of things we've taken for granted in the past, and this may become our new norm. But
yeah,
when we talk about all these things to avoid getting the virus, there's not a lot of people talking about how to build our surface level innate immunity. That's sort of like our fortress. It's the wall to our fortress. So if our town has a wall around it, that is our surface level immunity. It's on our skin, it's on our nose, eyes, ears, throat, intestinal tract, etc. That is really what we want to not only keep fortified, but be able to also keep at the point where we can bolster that and make that better. Now, the downside is stress is a big killer to this fort-like wall that's around our whole body. And so when we take a look at stress, we also can't just be like, we can't take the approach of, just don't worry about it. Just
hey, let me ask you one question real quick.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed this with myself, and man, obviously got people, we all have times in our lives where you're stressed out of your gourd,
Yes. Yeah.
But you're talking about stomach.
Yep.
And I've been hearing this from other people, and there's a couple times I was probably on the edge of this over the past month. And I'm not saying this has never happened. In my corporate days, I was having panic attacks almost every month, and that's why I love corporate.
Yeah.
But I think I've talked to people about this, and it's happened to me a couple times where it's like, almost like a really, crappy feeling in your gut. And it's like almost like a little mini, like your breathing is kind of uncontrolled. And
right.
I've talked to a lot of people about that recently, and that's a lot of people are experiencing that. I mean, so, maybe you can hit on how that relates to this, but these little panic attack things, I think that are happening to a lot of people.
Absolutely. It's totally normal to have that pit in your stomach feeling, to be able to actually have that tighter breathing. That's all part of stress. So you've got two different parts of your nervous system, one that's a fight or flight, one that's a relax and digest. And so the fight or flight is your sympathetic nervous system. That's when you get up and go. Now, the relax and the digest and the pleasure type of portion of your nervous system it's what starts to allow that digestion to take place. It allows the smooth muscles in the intestines, and it allows the relaxed breathing style to occur. So that is really what we're after hacking and being able to stimulate. So that way we can counteract these racing thoughts, the unknowns, all of the things that, all the fears that we're hearing through the media, and even the reality of the situation, which means if you do have some sort of health disorder and you do have, and this is where I do not want to minimize, if you do have a diabetes, a heart disease, a COPD, autoimmune issue, a cancer, whatever, anything that's going to severely depress your immune system already, like those are the people who really need to isolate and really need to protect, because it's such a high risk, because their surface level immunity and even blood level immunity is in the tank.
Yeah, my mom is in, she's just south of Houston in Clear Lake, and she suffered from, quit smoking 15 years ago, but most of her adult life, smoking was cool when she was young, and
absolutely,
and she's got a case of COPD, so she's on total lockdown now. I can't afford.
Agreed.
That's my mom, but like she's doing Instacart, and I'm like, no, you're not leaving the house for anything.
Yeah,
So
when it comes down to making sure that when it comes down to decreasing stress, and stress can be good or bad. There's a distress and a eustress. Distresses are things that we inherently have framed as bad, okay? And very well, they could be bad. It could be losing a job, losing a spouse. It could be this corona, pandemic. Whatever you want to put into that category, there's very differing levels of stress that come with these distress type of things. There are good stresses. Good stresses are new opportunities, new job, new relationship, a change to a new house, or whatever it might be. The interesting thing with the distress and the eustress, the good and the bad stress, is that your body doesn't know the difference. Your brain knows the difference, but your body responds exactly the same to a good stressor as it does to a bad stressor. So I'll give you an example. Let's talk about exercise. So I
was going to ask you about that.
So on exercise is a stress to the body. Now it's a strategic stress. There's only one way to solve the fitness equation, and that is to stress the body enough in the right direction, and then have enough time to let it recover. Too much stress, too little recovery breaks the body down. Too little stress, too much recovery just doesn't get a good build up. So we got to have the right stress at the right level and the right recovery at the right level. That being said, where people's minds don't fit with exercise physiology is that high intensity training, which is going to be either interval training, it's going to be explosive work, maximal lifts, ballistic type of things where you do plyometrics. So the things that are going to fit a little more into the CrossFit or the high intensity speed explosion type of work, lifting type of things. High intensity workouts, lots of intensity, require a lot of recovery. High intensity workouts depress your immune system for the first 48 to 72 hours. You have a window to where you're at risk for catching a cold, flu, stomach bug, etc. And most people don't understand that. But anybody who's been an athlete and they track their heart rate, the biggest thing that you can do to see how much stress is on your system, just track your morning heart rate. See what it is when you wake up before you get out of bed. Track it for about a minute. Write it down. You're going to come up with an average. Let's say it's 60 beats per minute on average. But then you've done a hard, high-intensity workout, and the next morning, you're now at 65 or 70 beats per minute. That's your indication for not today. It needs to be a low, slow, recovery day, low volume, low intensity, move, but don't move too hard.
Yeah, JD, this is something that I see very commonly with runners. And as you know,
I just touched my face. I'm like,
I just did this with my beard.
I'm literally like,
I'm in solitary confinement. There's nothing.
Wash my hands before we got on a show, you know.
Nothing going wrong here.
Oh no.
But this happens a lot with marathoners, not even marathoners, but well, primarily marathoners or longer distance runners, where like clockwork, man. And I warn them, I'm like, when you got, it's really weird. It's like they get into those peak runs, the 16, the 18, the 20, the 22. And I tell them, man, take care of yourself, stay away from sick people, because when they go into that taper mode, when all that stress is there and they back off a bit, it's like their immune system opens wide up. And I see a lot of people actually get sick during taper, and then they're trying to manage that so they can get better, so they can get to the start line and not have, you know, a flu or a cold or upper respiratory stuff going on. So
right now, if you're going to choose to work out, choose something that's a little more low and slow, not as high intensity. If you do a high intensity workout, you've got to take 2 or 3 days to rest and recover. Watch your morning heart rate. So right now, just literally start tracking your morning heart rate. See what it is, mark it down, keep a record of it. When you start to see those peaks, your heart rate will peak like 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 days before your body gets sick or goes into, you know, type of thing. So it literally is one of the greatest predictors that we can use to see, are you headed that direction? And sure enough, I've done this enough times to be able to be like, oh, look, my morning heart rate's up. Now, another factor you can track is heart rate variability. So as your morning heart rate goes up and your heart rate variability drops, is a great predictor of overtraining, too much stress, your body needs more recovery. And there are ways to actually accelerate recovery than just not working out and trying to sleep more.
Yeah. All right, cool. I had something I was going to ask. Well, it's the yin and yang of life, dude.
It is.
You know, like I tell runners all the time, and I tell clients all the time, I don't care if they've got 100 pounds to lose, or they're you know, elite runners, or they're people in the middle. It's like, you know, there's a, you know, part of training is recovery.
Yep.
And you know, you tear down muscle in a good way, you got to let it build back up, you know, and especially with runners, because they're a lot of them are like so OCD, and it's got to be more and faster and harder and more miles. Yeah. That those recovery. I had just had a Zoom with, actually, we talked about this last week when we started our pilot show, about how everyone's recovery cycle is different. It changes when you age, even though I know 50-year-old people that have the recovery cycle of a 20-year-old. Yep. But you gotta tune into what your recovery cycle is, because really recovery is really stress reduction on the body is what you're talking about, which totally relates to immune system stuff anyway. And then the other thing is, when we cut back on our sleep and we're awake longer, that's going to drive that heart rate up, that morning heart rate. Your body will literally tell you, hey, like, we're starting to get sleep deprived. You know, I need to get some of those hours back. And I always think, for me personally, when my heart rate goes up, my heart rate variability goes down, I'm usually not getting enough sleep. I'm usually pushing harder at work, at working out. And as I ignore that and I get sick, I always end up in bed going, yeah, my body knew that I wasn't going to put my butt into bed, so it put it in bed for me, you know. Well, unless you got a unknown virus, there's always a reason. And what you're talking about, if you go back to your place, a reason why you get sick. Yep, there's always, you know, I mean, if you look at your late and go, duh, like I got 3 days of 4 to 5 hours of sleep, or you know, I hammered myself in the gym, and then I went back the next day and hammered, and you put it all together and like, well, there's a pretty good reason on why my immune system's probably shot at this point. Well, that's also the reason why you can stick 30 people in a room together
and somebody has the flu, and not everybody's going to get the flu. Even if everybody had contact with that person, if everybody washed their hands and everybody didn't touch their face, I mean, some people are going to get it, some people are not. And the people who are going to get it, typically, if you were tracking them, you would have seen their heart rate variability up, their stress hormones up, their immune system being depressed, having that window of opportunity to get sick. And those are the ones that actually get sick. So really, unless you have a major health issue, getting sick is really up to you. I mean, you do have an amazing amount of control. Now, you might not have the knowledge to be able to hack those systems, but I mean, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to help with. The other thing that increases that heart rate, and you'll notice this if you're eating crap foods or something your body doesn't agree with your body, I mean, that you can lay in bed and feel your heart rate be higher, and then the next morning. So that feeds into food allergies, sensitivities, intolerances, and blood tests is the easiest way to figure those out instead of having to guess which ones they are. And so I do that on people all the time.
Hey, let me ask you something related to that. Do you ever do I've heard things about, and I've kind of shopped this to people in the past. Do you go by just a spike that day, or do you do like a rolling average over maybe a 2 or 3 day period? Because I've found if it's up over a 2 or 3 day period consistently, you're almost a surefire. You're almost guaranteed to probably get sick. So
the spike the next day really means, let me go ahead and make some modifications today. Let me implement some hacks today. So a spike for a day means that you're not going to go ahead and train super hard. You're going to do something a little more, low and slow, little LSD, long, slow distance, or you're going to actually lift lighter versus heavier. You're going to actively do some mobility stuff. It's the 2 or 3 day in a row that is really going to be the predictor for getting sick. 1 day, not too bad. If you leave it up for 2 days, you're really not executing some strategies. Power naps are amazing things. There's 3 different ways to take a power nap to get your immune system to recover. That's another show, another time, or maybe I'll do it on my health hacks.
Do a nap show. Wow.
Health hacks show. Yes.
Cutting edge, man.
I mean, it's weird because a 30-minute nap is equal to an hour sleep at night. An hour nap is equal to 3, and a 2-hour nap is equal to entire night's sleep. So it's one of those things that's like, what? But you have to know how to go into and come out of those things without being groggy, without being fatigued. There's some fun hacks for that right there. But
if people aren't doing anything right now, they should be napping.
Oh, golly, yeah. Catch up on your sleep. My gosh. Yeah. Absolutely. But the thing is during these times, what do? We cope. We try to compensate. So we eat more, we drink more. I'm on that spectrum right there where I've eaten more, I've drank more, and then I finally had to go, no, time out. No, not every day. Definitely not more than 2 or 3 days during the week. The other thing is people are staying up later because they're not having to get up to go into work.
Yeah. Guilty as charged.
On a schedule, get back on a routine. Don't stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning working on StreamYard. But if he sends you Marco Polo's, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. He's like, oh, I know it's late, but I figured this out.
I tell you what.
I love it.
Actually, I did good for 2 weeks. I was going to bed. I'm like, I'm going to have a bedtime now. I was getting to bed before 10:30. That lasted 2 weeks. And then my old college brain came back that thinks that I can actually be more productive at 2 in the morning, which is not ever going to work. So here we go.
As long as you are helping to fill that gap by taking longer naps during the day to catch up. I mean, that's essentially what Einstein and Edison and a lot of people did is they said, okay, I work better on, less sleep at night, but catching up some during the day, not volume for volume, but just like 6 hours at night. And then I'll do a 30-minute to an hour nap during the day to fill the gap right there, which is really a fun hack. I mean, I execute that a lot because when things are normally the way they were, my clinic started at 7 a.m. and a lot of times it would go to 5, 6, or 7 at night. So by the time I'm home, hang out with the family, eat dinner, catch up, relax. It's, 11 o'clock at night and I'm back up at 4:30 the next morning, not the best routine. Definitely not going to do that in the future, but I had to manage that with taking a bunch of power naps,
Hey guys, I just noticed here, I'm looking at the feed. We got about 3 people in our in the in-flight page right now. You guys have questions, we can go to Q&A right now. You can email us if you want to just jump on here live. I can pull your head right up in here. I can send you a link to do that. But I've got about 3 on Facebook. I've got 1 on YouTube here. So if you guys have questions, we like to go into Q&A. I'm looking at the feed on my phone here. It looks like our buddy Suhail is here, who's in my group.
What's up?
He was on last week.
I know.
But if you guys have any questions, drop them in the feed on either one. I'm looking at that. And we'll just let that simmer for a couple minutes as we kind of wrap up. And no questions, no problem. But
let me throw this in, because you and I have experienced this as well, and we've talked about it. Connection is a great stress factor. And the thing is particularly face-to-face connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be in person. There's a radical difference when Coach and I see each other's faces and we're able to communicate something, even if it's not in real time. So we use an app called Marco Polo. It's one of those free apps you get on. In fact, if you just put my number into Marco Polo, do you have my number? Throw it up there.
Oh yeah.
The nice thing is,
working on mine. There you go.
You can actually tell me something and show me. You can turn your phone and be like, yeah, I'm feeling it right there. But the nice thing is, you don't have to wait till somebody picks up a phone. You don't have to wait till you get something scheduled. You literally can, throw a thought, tell somebody you're thinking about them, and they can shoot you back and do a video back to you. It's just fun.
What I've been telling people, because I'm
in the car and while I'm walking around, and
I've been telling people it's like a video walkie-talkie.
It is. It is.
It's you shoot a video, you shoot it
you have to respond to right away, right?
It's not. It's like a chopped up face, because FaceTime you both have to be at the same time. That's impossible nowadays. You just can't do that.
Yeah.
Hey, on that point, JD, I want to tell everybody here, because this is a work in progress, but that's what this show is going to be all about. That's another example. I'm a total tech freak. Now, do I write code for a living? No. I'm a fitness trainer. I'm a very, very simple man, but I love tech. I love ways to be more productive. This dude's the same way. So this show is going to be more about that, not just fitness and health and all this other stuff, but ways, little nuggets that we find, that we learn from other people, from other successful people, or people are just that they're going to make your life easier and simpler and save time and save money and just keep you on your game. Why? So you have all the time in the world to exercise, right? So that's kind of where we're going with this.
If you have any questions, even if you're watching this in the future sometime, that's my number. Literally, that's my mobile number.
Text the doc.
Seriously, call me, text me, Marco Polo me at that number. Right? You have direct access to me. So if you're watching this, that's my kudos for you watching, is going, yeah, pop me a question. You want to chat about something? No problem. Hey, I'm not going to charge you. So text me. I mean, you come to the office, I'm gonna charge you. I'm
working on my fitness bat phone, man. So I'll have one for you guys soon.
There you go.
Secret bat phone. The sexy bat phone. I don't see any questions, guys. So
yeah,
I'll tell you what, some of you guys may be watching this on a replay. You didn't join us live. You're looking at the replay on YouTube. You're looking at it on Facebook. We're recording this. So Dr. Hasenbank will have it on his websites too. Yeah. By the way, let me mention that while I'm here. You can go to drhasenbank.com for all his goodies. Okay. And then if you want to go to In-Flight Running, that's my website. You guys can ding us there to email us.
True.
But in the feed, because this will remain in the feed, and in YouTube, it's simple. You can put your comments below with a question. We'll respond to those. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing with Facebook. And like I said, eventually this little project that we're doing here will have live and breathe in its own space on Facebook, on YouTube. We're going to actually be experimenting with LinkedIn too, to reach people on LinkedIn also. So, so if you're watching this on the replay, anything that kind of a question that kind of hit your mind, just pop it in here, and then we'll watch that feed over the next week and reply to that. Okay.
And my Facebook is drhasenbank.com. Or no, Dr. Hasenbank is my Facebook, and I'm gonna do some offshoots of this to talk a little bit more about the hacks that we talked about, a little more detail, how I do it, how I fix my stress. I mean, because honestly, I've lived with anxiety and depression most all my life, and so I'm always after finding hacks to help me, and I love it because they work, and so I love to pass them on. See people go, wow, that's amazing, that's awesome. So
that's why we're here, man.
My Facebook, and will you put a link to my Facebook in this when you post it on the?
Yeah, I'll do that, and then we're Dr. Hasenbank's new to Instagram, but you can follow him on Instagram. He's popping some stuff up there, and I'm learning Instagram from my 15-year-old kid. So I got my IT department, IE Max, on it.
That's right.
But you can follow me on I'm at In-Flight Running. I'll pop it up here for you guys. The one thing I want to mention is dude, I was having this conversation with my 15-year-old the other day, and I want you guys really thinking about this, man. It's like, if this pandemic hasn't taught us anything, it's the fact that the only currency in this world that means anything is the human race.
Yes.
It's not your car that you drive.
Yeah.
It's not your home. It's not all the fancy stuff that we as Americans pile on, and the rest of the world thinks we're crazy for it. Almost kind of resents us for the fact that we probably have more money than anybody in any country in the world. That's all melting right now a little bit. We're feeling the pain. So with that being said, man, this is how this started. Yeah. We've been talking about doing this for like 8 years. Yeah. And I just went through my Rolodex one day. Well, you can call them old school, dude, if I'm calling it a Rolodex, my contacts. Okay. And I'm like, there's gold in your contacts. Now, some of those people you may haven't talked to in 10 years, but there's people in there you can reconnect with that could change your life at this point, man. So I would highly recommend you guys, think about that. Okay.
And then my final thought is, you talked about human race being our greatest currency and value. We each inherently have amazing value. My buddy here, who I did a show with, that I forgot to hit record on Zoom. So Dr. Howard, he's a PT here in Nashville. He's amazing. He treats the rock stars and country stars. But he said, and really hit me because we were talking about health hacks, he goes, we each have so much inherent value that we underestimate. I mean, every human has unbelievable value and potential. Don't underestimate that, and realize that we don't have to choose to be human doings. We can truly be human beings and still get a lot of stuff done and accomplished. But I think that's the biggest thing for this Corona thing for me, is just highlighting how much of a human doing I've been for so long, and realizing that there is value in just being and being still, and just knowing there's a greater purpose, a greater message, a greater being, that we're part of this amazing journey and story together. And so, I got your back. And that's why my tagline over this Corona period, literally, that's what came out of this is what's my bet? Like, I don't care who you are, what you got going on, like, reach out to me. I got your back. Like, may not have the answer, but sure enough, I could probably point you in the right direction and get you in front of somebody who does have the right answer. So,
and I'd leave you guys with the fact that, and this has really been on my mind, is, man, get strong now, guys. Yeah. Pivot and just really be a war. I mean, I'm not saying, what's the crazy show where people go on there and, roll those obstacle courses, and I'm not saying American Gladiator here, but like, you really in this day and age, you really got to think about that. Like, wherever you are, if it's weight loss, man, let's knock it off. I just had a conversation with a Zoom with one of my, and by the way, going back to the eye contact thing, I don't do phone calls anymore with my clients.
I love it.
It's Zoom.
Yeah.
It's just so much more power in something like this, where you're seeing eye contact and you're having a discussion. But get strong, man. Lift weights if you're not doing that. it's kind of cool. It's like it's been National Workout Month. I don't know if you've noticed that, but
I didn't even notice that. No,
there's people in my neighborhood I didn't even know were here because they're out on their bike and they're jogging.
Yes,
and stuff,
right? I know people around on walks with the family. It's awesome.
So anyway, you got any last words, man? I guess we'll wrap it today.
That's it.
Any questions? Yeah. If we missed you guys, like I said, we're flying by the seat of our pants. I got phone and tablet and I got all this stuff going on, so we'll figure it out. But I love this format.
Next Wednesday, 1 o'clock.
Next Wednesday, 1 o'clock, and we'll do a better job of letting you guys know what the topic's going to be a few days in, and kind of showing that to you on our Facebook and our YouTube. So you kind of know what's next, but it's going to be of value. And sometimes we may have another guest that pops in here. We may be tag teaming and interviewing another wellness professional that can lend some light to all the stuff we want to talk about to kind of help you guys out. The other thing, you guys can see it in Facebook here, but tonight I'll be doing a running show, 7:30 p.m. with Dr. Jeffrey Ross. He's a Houston podiatrist. I know JD's worked with, probably had some referrals with Dr. Ross. Dr. Ross saved my running career. That's a whole other story. I'll tell that tonight, but he had to put me together like Humpty Dumpty, like this guy did, or I would not be coaching people. But so check that out. And then I'll also send some stuff out because JD's doing some things with some other medical and rehab professionals that he'll be doing. So not only this show, but we've got some other stuff going on that you guys can gain from too. So, and it's all free and it's all streamed live. Okay. So
keep an eye out for my Health Hacks live show where I'll have other professionals come on and we share our health hacks that we're doing for ourselves, or talk about the ones that we're recommending for people that are hot topics. So, all right. Good to see you.
I'm out.
Let's get out of here.
Got to get ready for the next show.
Yep. See ya.
The work starts now. See ya.
All right.
You guys take care.